People know I'm gonna be late. Yeah, it's like 200 women.
Oh, nice.
Chicago Women's League.
Oh, should we go into that? Don't ditch him for me.
I'm gonna just be late. I'll be there. I'm coming. I'm going.
Where is it? Good morning, good afternoon. I am Michael Rataj with the Braincast here with Audrey
Boyle.
And Audrey and I are a perfect internet relationship.
That's how it happens.
Where we basically I saw connecting people with us. I saw what you were into. I reached out, we had a great conversation. And that's where this kind of came up. So
yes, it was very important. I do a lot of thought process into like online and offline conversations and relationships, so we can delve into that.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So you lecture, you teach branding and social media marketing at Robert Morris University, and the biggest thing, one of the things that I love about what you do with that is your videos that you do. So in addition to teaching, you are, as we say, the practitioner. You focus on doing a lot of content on all the different platforms.
Yes.
Did I nail that? Or is there a little...
That was good. I was like, I was interested in what you were saying. I'm like, oh, it sounds really great. Yeah. Oh my God, I want to hang out with her. Yeah, I'm a professor. I teach at Robert Morris, and I also teach at Forbes Business School. And I teach personal branding in the class, and then I teach social media marketing, same. And I do sketch comedy, so like on the other end is all about my world domination and helping people. I like to make people laugh, and so I'm a comedian first, and then I'm a professor. So I've got those two buckets in my brand.
And that helps. I mean, obviously you're not afraid of speaking in front of people, and so teaching and you get feedback and feedback.
Yes, and college students too. I mean, people say like, oh, do you want to do stand-up? I'm like, there is no colder audience than like a classroom full of millennials.
8:30 a.m.
It's brutal. Yeah, it's brutal. There's no laughter. They just don't get their cell phones out. And I'm like, oh my God, they like me.
That's a win. How did you end up falling into this? Was it you started your videos first and then you started teaching, or how did this?
Oh, what's my story? I was teaching first, and I worked my way up the corporate ladder. So I was like a VP for the Home Depot by the age 29, and I thought, no, I don't really want to do this. Like, I want to teach. So I stepped down from that job, and I went back to college, and I started as a TA. And at the time, nobody knew anything about social media, and I wanted to make it my focus. So everybody was saying things like, oh, my nephew's gonna do my social media because they're good with it. And it's like, wait, what? This is your business. This is your livelihood. So at the time, I had a colleague tell me like, hey, you should actually start your own social media on the various platforms and use it as applied research. So that's when I started my Facebook page doing comedy. I started with memes, and it was just memes and very consistent with it. And then I started doing sketch comedy, and then on the different platforms, depending on what it is, I really want to generate the fun content, but also teachable moments. So it's kind of goes hand in hand.
Right. I'm assuming if you started the channel after you started teaching, you had the audience, like you were just teaching when you got the platform, or what was your kind of mindset with the content you would create? Like, did you have a target, I guess?
I started with moms, and so that was easy for me because I was in the trenches. I was a mom, and anything that I thought was funny, I would just put out there.
Right.
I was like the weird mom who would follow, other moms around at the park and be like, oh, look at this. I was just always trying to make moms laugh. So that was like, I had a clearly defined target audience, which was helpful.
Yeah.
And not just like a mom that's in the United States. I wanted to be funny to moms all over the world. And so that is what I think really took off when it came to my following, is that it's everywhere. It's global.
Yeah, universal is a really nice, if you can swing it to be universal, that's a really nice touch to just include a bigger audience. There's no reason to really exclude anybody. So
Sure. I mean, I did stuff that was funny to me, and then I think it worked out well. Luckily, they found me funny too, so it worked out.
It resonates. So,
but target audience is important. I think that when I talk to people about, okay, you want to start any type of social media, or you want to do speaking engagements, or you want to build your brand, like, who is your target audience? Like, that is like the biggest first question that you have to answer. And so when it comes to my content on LinkedIn, I want to help students, and so most of my videos on LinkedIn are all about helping students.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and obviously that's something you can really use that market research on a daily basis almost, and use their questions to inform your next content, right? So
yes,
very interactive. It's
got to be fluid. Yes, you got to wiggle in social media land.
Do you have a well of both things? I mean, you seem very energetic and creative. So is it you just kind of usually come up with a lot of stuff, or do you have dedicated writing time? How do you feel? Improv or dedicated writing?
I improv, but I do dedicated writing too. People say, like, what is your hobbies? Which I think is a weird question. Somebody asked me recently, like, what's your hobby? And I was like, hobby? What does that mean? Like, I think they thought I was going to say, like, I collect stamps, or I'm a bird watcher. And I thought, well, it's all part of who I am. So there's not like a separate compartment where I'm like, oh, I'm going to punch into doing this. But what I do in my free time is write jokes. I write jokes. I like jokes.
That's a very telling sign of what you hope to give to people, your gift, and to share happiness and laughter. So that's...
Yes, it's the quickest route to common ground is laughter.
Do you find that laughter helps with teaching?
Yes.
Like ideas just to resonate better with people?
Yes, absolutely. They remember what I said because I maybe threw a joke out. And so that's really the point, is like, please remember this important piece of content because I started talking about a crab going down the beach one day or something. Right. So
there's so many movies where I've seen audio commentary or read something where they were taking a very dramatic route to take a very important stance on something, and then when they made it comedic, like, it had just such a bigger impact. And I think that's I've been trying to do that, just be funnier.
Yeah.
Just do.
It's good for you too. It's it's like good for everybody. I think that we can still be entertained and learn. Like, it doesn't have to be separate.
You don't have to just get hit in the face with a pie and like...
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's have fun with it. I mean, we have to do it anyways. Like, let's at least enjoy ourselves.
So, you, where are we at? I'll do editing, so we can always pause.
Okay.
I do that a bit, which is why I use two cameras so it doesn't jump as much when I edit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Should I look towards that camera?
No, either way. That, if you ever want to hammer something home.
Oh, okay.
Make it.
Good point.
So let's just talk about the evolution. So you started evolution of your content. You started with Facebook and memes. How did you get into videos? Was that like a giant hurdle to really do the first one?
Yeah, so I did memes, and I was kind of hiding behind mom funnies, right. And that's how it was. And that's what people did. You hide behind your brand. You hide behind, I feel like for example, McDonald's, where they went wrong is they got rid of all those little fun characters. Like, what happened to Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar, and then I don't even know who all the other characters were. Grimace, right? Weren't they fun? And they got rid of them, and then they just became like this like corporate engine, and everybody didn't like McDonald's, and that they took a turn for the worst. And I was the same way. I was hiding behind, like, I was mom funnies, and nobody knew who I was. And over time, my following kept saying, like, we want to see more you. We want to see more you. And I thought, okay, like, you want to understand what I'm all about? Right. So I started incorporating more and more of myself into it. And I did videos randomly. Like, I would do like one fun video, but then I got really serious when I got approached by a production house that said, hey, we want to get you over into YouTube and start doing sketch comedy videos. And so when I got a team in place, that was when things really took off with the videos.
That's one of the hardest. I think so many people with the phone think that they can do it, but you really, I mean, you need some extra help to be able to let action unfold and capture you doing things.
So many people say to me too, like, oh, did you shoot that yourself? I'm like, I was doing stuff. Like, there was like a lot of things happening. Do you really think I shot that myself on a camera phone?
Put it on a Roomba or just let it follow you around.
Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, until they invent the selfie drone, like, no, it's not happening.
I've been looking into that he exists.
I heard it exists. I think it would be amazing to have one. Yeah.
I know, that's what I was like, what can I walk around and just have it?
Yeah.
Film you doing random stuff.
Yeah, it's just floating and you could just like edit depending on what happens. Yeah.
That'd be fun. So the production house obviously helped you elevate, which I'm assuming just brought more awareness to you, which in turn made you want to do more comedy. Right? Was that kind of the snowball once you got the first good set of well-produced videos, then it just kept steamrolling after that?
Yes, I feel very strongly that you should play to your strengths, and I realized that one of my strengths was not being behind the camera. I'm really good in front of the camera, so once I started just solely focusing on that, I had time to write more jokes and do other things, and so things just kind of took off once I just narrowed my focus. Yeah.
See, that is marketing. That's kind of like marketing 101. I think when we talked, I just finishing like my first official full year as the video services, and the problem is you're just way broad with trying to help everyone because you don't know yet.
Yes.
So once you can narrow it down, it's really been a lot easier to focus.
Yes. It's like you're not trying to look up or research how to do something that you're not even really interested in, but you need to get it done. I mean, that's just such a waste of time. And then it's stressful, and then you're worried about like this and that or whatever. It's just easier to be like, okay, can you just do this and it'll be done by Saturday? Okay. I know it financially not easier, but in the end, it actually is easier.
Right. Because, I mean, mentally, the time you lose stressing and researching that you could have done the other thing better. So, do you have favorite movies, favorite comedians that inspired you in the past or now?
Inspired me. I like, there's a lot of comedians that are coming up right now that I think are pretty good, pretty funny. I guess I would always be like Tiffany Haddish. That's a recent one that is very inspiring to me because she's older and she just came around recently. She was just working the stand-up comedy beat for a long time. So yeah, and like suddenly she's now, who she is. She's doing movies and everything. So this might be it, but did the internet help her? Like just her general presence kind of that? She landed a role in a movie that did really well. I think that's what did it. But there is Issa Rae. Issa Rae is a good example who has Insecure on HBO. So she had a YouTube following, and it wasn't a huge YouTube following, but then she had the script for Insecure and then managed to get that show on HBO.
Because that's what it is. It's all about doing this project to do the next project. So as long as this one's as good as possible, there's potentially the next one, right?
It's always, and I think that a lot of creators put so much importance on that first project and they spend all their time tweaking and perfecting it that they're burned out once it's done, and or they don't want to give up the rights to it because they're like holding so tight to it. And then, then they're just crippled, they don't know, they're paralyzed. They can't move to the next step.
That's probably a 4-hour conversation that you could have with somebody. But that's true. And I know, especially coming as a creator side, there is a part of you that you really need to just separate as the service and the product to people versus my service, my product,
Yes. A business asked me this recently. They said, what if somebody takes my image I created and they rip it off and they put it online? Like you see an image that you created and they just stole it from you pretty much. And I said, there's nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is keep putting out consistent content so that when people see it, they'll go, oh, this was stolen from somebody else. Like, obviously not that person. This is whoever it is. But you have this fear that you think like, oh, no more creativity's coming. And so this is it, this one image, and you put so much importance on it. And you shouldn't focus on that and just look to get inspired in other ways. So
that's another big life lesson over the last couple of years that I really learned. Like there's something about just, if you can open up to just new experiences, you'll end up getting a better second image, third image, fourth image.
Yes.
I think getting rid of that blockage of the first one is really key.
Yes.
Being able to move past and doing more.
Yes, I always say my big quote is content is king, but consistency is queen. So that's everything. Like, if you're more consistent, you're going to win in the end. It doesn't matter how good your content is if you are sporadic about it.
That's true. And I know I jumped around, but I have noticed where someone will use a certain image or a certain style, and then someone else does. I mean, you can tell, and people tell too. I mean, you know, you're nervous, but like you said, if you have enough of some emblem that's you in all of your stuff, and then someone else uses it, people are gonna like help you.
They'll realize it is what it is, and then you go, it's actually kind of nice because they're giving you more exposure.
Right.
So look at it that way.
Cease and desist are always like big. Yes. I mean, they're dangerous. I'm not.
No, I know, it's definitely reality too. Yeah, for sure.
They're like the biggest accidental marketing push that.
Yes.
I think they refer that, is it the Barbra Streisand effect, where someone posted a photo of like her house on a hill, and no one knew about it, but then she made a big stink about it, and then everyone knew about it. Like, it was just.
That's hysterical.
I think that something along those lines is what it's actually called, where just you don't want to draw attention to it, and then it's your thing.
Interesting. I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah.
And we're talking about comedians that have inspired me. I like the Larry David method of carrying a notebook and writing notes. I write a lot of notes. He carried a notebook around and made notes about everything. Barbara Walters had a library of jokes. So she would, you know, if I was meeting with you to do a podcast and I knew a little bit about you, she would cross-reference it, like, okay, he's Jewish, or okay, he lives in the north suburbs, and she would pull out jokes for that and like open a binder and have like a list of jokes for that specific type of person.
That's genius.
Yeah.
It's really about getting comfortable and getting someone to open up, and that's, as we said,
so she just had a library of jokes that she could pull out, and I was like, oh, it's interesting.
She's interviewed so many people. I mean, she'd probably be stealing all of her techniques. Clearly it's worked.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there is heavy importance right now on how you take your offline conversations and you have them online. So a good example of how we met. Like, you messaged me, then I said, hey, let's schedule a phone call, or maybe you said schedule a phone call, but you want to get to initial like 15-minute phone call, then you have a conversation with them, you kind of exchange like elevator pitches, and you see where you can collaborate. You don't have to necessarily have like a clearly defined path on what the relationship's going to be, but if you have a conversation with them, then it's more likely that you will be able to have any type of relationship in the future. So then maybe we meet up for coffee, or maybe we meet up at a networking event or something like that. I give you my business card, you give me your business card, or we link in, and then over the course of time, you're able to see what I'm posting, what my content's all about, and then it kind of holds you, and then the next time you see me, you have a better idea of what I'm all about. So then it's like you can nurture a relationship with somebody that you maybe see like once a year, but you feel like you're good friends because you have an online relationship as well.
That's what I have noticed so much about so many networking events that's been fun, about just, people want to connect with you on LinkedIn. I feel like a lot of people are big on number, just getting bigger connections. But that really is people's attention to that point, and so you could really formulate 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 opinions, and then you're like, oh, I really like that person now. And I know I've just personally been using that with Facebook, and just all the random spots where you meet someone once, you just connect to stay in touch, and it's when you see them, you have like 4 things to talk about. It's just such a...
That's the world we live in right now. I mean, we don't have the time to simply like get to know people, you know, and just hang out and find out their hopes and dreams and fears. Like we have online relationships. So I always say it's not about the depth, or it's not about the breadth of your relationships, it's about the depth. So if you go to a networking event, it's better to actually just have like 3 in-depth conversations with people rather than get everybody's business card. So it's just, that's pointless.
I agree. And that's, starting off, I think I was more into meeting more people, but then once you focus on 3-4 people, it's just that much better. And then the next time you see them, and then they can refer you and blah, blah, blah. It's just better relationships.
Yes. I always think, if I give you a scenario, you go to a networking event and maybe you meet everybody in the room, you get business cards from everyone, and then you turn around, you go, oh, I have a stack of business cards, I'm going to be able to turn around and actually get a job or get whatever you're looking for, why you went to the networking event to begin with. And when you reach out to those people, they're like, oh, it was nice to have a beer with you, but we don't know you. Like, this is awkward and weird. And I think a lot of people have that happen to them, where they email somebody and like they don't get back with them because it's just awkward. It's like, wait, I don't even know you. Like, and now you're reaching out to me and hoping to get something from me. So.
And whenever I reach out to people, I at least try and give like some suggestions on like, hey, your social media is good, but maybe try this. So at least if we had that brief conversation, at least I was able to do kind of an audit on them and say, okay, here's things that I think might work. And then I've had better success, I feel like, with that than just, a random cold email like, help me do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't ask for favors, ask for advice. Bye.
You do live streaming, right?
I do.
That's a big...
I like it. It's my jam. I went live every day for 45 days, like about a year ago. And that was intense. Like a lot happened from there, but I was inspired at the time. Like content was just coming out of me. I was just writing jokes everywhere, so I had to have an outlet. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go live every day, and so that's what I did. It was good.
Did you respond to like new information, new content from the comments you received from people, or just you working through it, you got more stuff? Or I guess a mix of both?
I was kind of working through something, I think, myself, and at the time it was my way of coping with everything that was going on in my life. Okay. So I feel like my following got a better chance to know me a little bit more, and I had a better relationship with my following at the time because they were responding and engaging and messaging me. And so I was able to really kind of tell my story and what I was all about and why I did various things, and then make it funny, obviously. So did a lot of jokes.
Good. Test those out. Do you get a bunch of emails from or messages of people like saying how you inspired them to do more stuff?
Yes.
That's gotta be because where I started with my social media is basically resharing art. Like I just started an Instagram where I would just giving different artists just a spot to showcase some stuff. And
awesome.
You're for a while people like it, and some people will comment. Then once you start getting messages of people just like really appreciative that you like share their work, and you're like, oh, that's so great. Want to do other stuff, and hopefully you'll post my next couple pieces. It's like such a nice, feels like you're really helping too.
Yes.
Because when you're creating, there is such a void for a lot of the time where it's just kind of like, where is there anything?
Yeah, and the going gets tough. It's brutal, right? And you realize that it's the hard work. So success, I feel like, is a byproduct of hard work. So it's like once I got clear on like what I was really trying to do, like I wanted to make people laugh, and I just had to be upfront and honest about like, this is my why, and then I want to help students. I became inspirational in that moment. Right. But before that, when I was all over the place, like, oh, I can do some marketing for you and I can do this, and it was vague. Then I feel like nobody really knew what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, so it came off that way. It was figuring it out.
So
I always tell people, like, if you don't know, go through rebranding.
Yeah.
Like, rebrand yourself and come out a different way. Like, if you ask people, like, hey, what do you think I do all day? And if you don't like what they say, then you got to change your story. Change your messaging and get consistent with it.
Let's develop that a little more. I think that's a really cool tip. So rebranding, so we're kind of saying this based on not like if you and I meet every day for coffee, you're kind of saying someone you see maybe once a month. But
everybody, everyone that you come in contact with, even somebody walking down the street that you don't even know.
Oh, so really,
like, what do they know? Like, what is your persona? Like, what's going on with you?
So first thing, that seems to be prioritize what you want people to know. And then you could almost back yourself into what you want them to know by doing more of what you want them to know, right?
What do you want to be known for?
Right. So if it's photo and video,
yeah,
do more videos, do more photos. What would you...
But you tell people that you do photos and video, and you're very specific in your messaging. Everybody should know that that's what you do all day, or that's what you think about all day. That's how you brand yourself. So that if somebody says, like, oh my God, Michael, you should meet him, he's really good at, like, what do they say? And if they don't say photo and video, then it's like, maybe you should work on getting your messaging a little bit more consistent.
I've heard one of the best things is asking close people to either introduce you to other people and, like, say what you do, because then you can really, like, wait, that's not what I'm trying to convey.
Exactly.
And then you can rebrand and re-get a new message.
Yes, that's the first step always, is ask for people to give you feedback on what, because you've already been branded. Everybody's already been branded. Right. So it's like, what's out there, and then you kind of tweak that message.
And reshape that clay.
And it's hard. You always have to continue at it. It's not something that you can just go, oh, I'm done.
You can, but then you won't evolve.
Yeah, it won't work. You have to continue to go. It's like the gym. You have to keep going even though you're in shape.
Right, unfortunately. Because then you quickly lose it.
Yes.
It's like, it took me 3 years. This was 3 months.
And that's how it is with consistency. I know some people that were so consistent and then they just drop off, and it's like you have to start over and you have to do so much once you stop.
Yeah, that momentum is something else.
Yes.
It leads to more momentum, which solves problems.
Yes.
Common questions, common things that people are approaching you with, like students, what's their big questions that they're always asking?
Well, if they want to get a job.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. People say, like, how did you get a following of 120,000 people? They generally want, like, a very simple answer, but it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of hard work. On Christmas Day or New Year's Eve, I didn't want to be writing jokes and posting and thinking about what my next video was going to be about. I wanted to just enjoy with friends and have some drinks, but I knew I needed to be consistent, so.
If there's other general issues, where I guess job is obviously the first thing, but do they want to know anything else, or are they just like, I want a job, they don't care about?
I mean, that's the ultimate goal, is they want to get a good job, but it's all about the type of job that they get. And so it's really trying to craft that narrative to where most people, they start the job that the best job they can get when they get out of school, and they fall into their career path based on what that company's career path is.
Right.
So then it's kind of vague, because unless you're going to stay with that company for the rest of your life, I mean, it doesn't make sense. So then you would get another job, and so you're in another career path, and so then you're just kind of all over. That's how you end up all over the place, because you've had a couple of jobs and there's been no clearly defined path for you because you haven't defined it for yourself. So
right. So that's again back to knowing thyself.
Yes.
To know really what path to walk on, and hopefully have those things meet you instead of you meeting it.
Yeah, and most people know themselves, but they assume that everybody else knows them too. And that's the thing, that you have to get it out there It's actually better if you are an introvert, I feel like, when it comes to networking. Because extroverts, we just talk. Well, I'm not an extrovert, but like extroverts, we just talk. We like to have fun, we're talking or whatever, and so we can have like a conversation that is not deep in meaning at all. And if you're an introvert, you're very specific about your conversations.
That's true.
So it's better.
No wasted questions. They're really direct and diving in.
They're not just shooting around like talking about whatever. So.
Right. Yeah. It's too comfortable to talk about weather or whatever. So you're guiding them mostly on LinkedIn then, obviously, with how to get that job that they want?
Yes. LinkedIn's a good avenue. Twitter's good, like if you want to do some networking. It just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But it should be, I feel like it should be consistent no matter what.
Like your message, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I just tell, college students that are that are on Facebook, I'm like, that Facebook account that you never post on because your grandmother has a Facebook account and they message you if you put anything out there? Like, why don't you go ahead and post something that you learned today in class? You don't have to work hard at it, just post a few things. And me, the older generation, we freak out. We're like, oh my God, they're learning something. Yay! When are they gonna graduate? What are they gonna do? Oh my gosh, you're so smart. They're so responsible. And so make it work for you. Like, play offense.
Right.
Play offense.
I think that's what it comes down to, playing offense, because otherwise the conversation happens.
Yes.
This way you can make it happen.
Yes. And I think the message has always been like defense wins championships, but it's like offense gets you in the game. Like, it gets you there. So
you need both.
You need both.
You really need both.
You can't just have one without the other, for sure.
Do you do sports?
I do.
What do you want to do?
Well, like, do I play sports or? I'm
Either or.
in a very sporty family. I grew up with a lot of sports, and so.
Which one's your top?
I don't know. Have a top.
No.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Football, baseball is
That
good.
was
Hockey's
mine.
good.
Hockey, yeah, I love hockey. I never played
Football.
it, but it's just fun.
When I was in corporate America, I found that knowing about sports was really helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could have a casual conversation with someone and you never had to get personal. So I realized, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, let me just pay attention to the city scores, and at least I can reference those.
Yes, I could be like, hey, what's your favorite team? Oh, did they win? Oh, let's talk about all kinds of things. So sports became even more important to me.
Right.
But my sister's a sports psychologist, so we're a very sporty family.
So she's psychology, you're marketing, both very similar. One's obviously working on they're both working on thyself.
Yes, but my area of focus is social media though too, so that's different.
But it's the self. It's still the
But it is the self.
And what do you believe that people's set more of their own roadblocks when being able to like create stuff for social media? Like they're afraid of negative comments and negative feedback?
Yes. It's a couple of things I have to say about that. You use more gas at takeoff than you do during the entire flight. So it's all about getting going.
Yeah.
Once you get going, it's so much easier when it comes to anything regarding social media. Also, people say like, oh, I was trolled really bad or I got negative comments, and so then I just stop completely. And it's funny to me. It's almost like I'm playing on a basketball team and I don't like the coach, so I'm quitting the team. Like, forget it. Like, wait, you let somebody actually directly affect your success. That's not good too. And people have keyboard courage, so you know that you're on the right track when you get negative feedback.
That's true. Yeah.
Because you only give shade to people that you think can handle it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's what happens.
And you're jealous, usually. That's why you're trying to knock them down, because
right,
you're not there.
Right. It's not about you. And then once I realized that, I was like, it's not about me. They really don't know me. It's about who they think I am, and it's about them, who they know.
Is that any kind of a process that you go through with some of your students of like helping them get over that roadblock, or you just kind of say, just supportive, just do it. Don't worry about things. Be yourself and things will play out?
Yes, just brand yourself and then get yourself out there. I give them ideas on things that they can do, But yeah, I mean, it's all about getting going. I've been nudging them too, like, okay, like go and do this. There's a good thing that you can post. And so I always say, like, you're an adult, so I can't tell you you have to do this. And this is your life. It's not even just an assignment. So you could do it or you could not. I mean, but it is your life, so you can decide for yourself.
Yeah, the motivation is key. I used to teach drums, and that was, well, you should practice because you told me you want to do this.
Right. Like, I'm not a dark overlord. Like, you don't have to do this.
Yeah, motivation. But there is, I don't know, there's something about those roadblocks. I wonder, do you and your sister, do you have a lot of psychological talks? Are you and her very close?
We're close, but we don't have psychological talks.
Struggles that people go through, and
I will say, I mean, everybody goes through struggles, and it's like, what motivates you? Because I did a lot of work when it came to that. I always thought way back when, like, before Tiger Woods kind of fell off, but like, why does Tiger Woods get out of bed every day and run 5 miles? Like, I never understood, like, why do successful people keep going when they've already gotten everything that they've strived to be? Because that's like this extra level once you have that proof of concept, and everybody believes, like, hey, you can do this. So
is there, what did you learn from all that?
I mean,
that's a huge question, but like,
yeah, I mean, you have to always be, you got to have a why. You got to have a why. Like, why are you doing all of this? Like, I come in contact with some moms that are bloggers, and they are killing themselves. They're blogging like a couple times a day. They're putting things out there. I mean, it's just like they're pumping out the content, but there's no why behind it. So it's just not quite gelling very well. And so when the going gets tough, it's hard for them to keep going because they haven't clearly defined that.
Because it was really a surface thing to begin with, instead of like an internal, like, I just have to do this.
Like, why are you doing it? Why are you spending so much time doing this? Because everybody says you should start a blog, and then you start a blog, and then you're just posting content. You don't even know why you're doing it.
Right.
You're doing it because other people have said you should probably do something.
Right.
So
misguided.
Yeah, it's just, you got to figure out what your why is. I think that's very important.
So motivation, I think that's something I will look into.
Finding out your why.
Finding why, and I think I need there might be some fun content project to explore to help people find the why.
Yeah, because if you understand that, it's like, that is everything. So there was a video that I love that I show my students on, like, figuring out your why. And in the video, it's a guy who is, he's like on stage, and he's talking to a guy who is a singer, and he's like, hey, can you sing like Amazing Grace? Like, go ahead and sing some Amazing Grace. And this guy's an amazing singer, so he starts singing Amazing Grace, and everybody's like, wow, okay, he's a good singer. And he's like, okay, now I want you to sing it like, your best friend got stabbed in the back, and that you lost all your money and you're bankrupt and your wife left you. Like, what's the hood version of it? So then he starts singing it, and there's like so much emotion in it. He's like giving it his all. Like, he sings, and it's beautiful. Yeah. And he's like, the first time he knew what he was singing, but the second time he sang it, he knew why he was singing it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, then you can move towards your purpose if you know your why. Mm-hmm. Your what has purpose and meaning.
Right.
So.
That's beautiful. I want to see that video.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll text it to you.
Thank you.
It's a really good one. And so then you're like, oh my gosh, I get it now. Like, you're doing it, you're going through the motions, but if you know why you're doing it, then you can move towards it with so much more purpose. And that is what's motivating.
Right. Good. Well, thanks. That was wonderful. Do you want people to find you on?
Audrey Boyle. Audrey Boyle.
Audrey Boyle. Okay. And not Audrey Boyle on Instagram.
Yes, but I think if you type in Audrey Boyle, I come up.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I'm like, I always just say Audrey Boyle. I never have anything to plug, because I feel like if you're doing it right, you shouldn't have like...
People will be interested, and they'll find you.
Right, and then your messaging is consistent. So, yeah, I pride myself on not having like a web address or something random.
I hear you.
Just kind of... look me up, kind of thing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you meeting you on LinkedIn, coming here, proving that the internet works.
Yes, the internet works. It's amazing.
If you treat it kindly, you can get kind results.
Yes, and you're consistent about it. You actually spend time on it, and you really try to build relationships from it. And it's not necessarily just to get somewhere. Like, you're not asking people for something specific, like, can you get me a job, or can you hook me up somewhere or other. It's like, hey, let's just hang out and get to know each other.
And I know I just tried to end it, but even on that note, being, everyone wants people to respond to their stuff, but if you are the first person that actually starts responding to people's work that they're putting out, that I've found that to have people come back to me and do more, respond to my stuff once I do whatever I do.
Yeah, because then they know you're engaging with their content. And that's how Twitter, if you're gonna be on Twitter, it's like, look at it like you're at a party and you're the cool person that people want to invite to the party, because you come, you hang out, you mingle with everybody, you're enjoyable to be around, you don't drink all the liquor, right. You're not like pushing anybody, trying to sell or anything like that. Like, that's what you want to be. You want to be the interesting person to invite to the party.
Just helping people out.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
You're very welcome. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching the Braincast.